Migration has been a part of the history of humanity for millennia. It's driven by an urge to find something better or leave something behind that made life unbearable.
I think some people see the pictures of suffering and it brings out sympathy. Others, it brings out fear.
In recent decades, instability and conflict have put droves of people on the move. Often, migrants are met with political pushback and intolerance.
It's not going to stop in 2022.
The U.S.-Mexico border often catches most of the headlines as migrants from Latin America and in 2021, Haiti flee for a better life.
Do not come. Do not come.
Immigration policy in the United States is contentious and politically charged. It's been criticized as inhumane, and there are calls for the country to step up its resources to not only manage the flow into the U.S., but also help address issues in migrants' home countries.
And what concerns me is that we're now 8 years into this crisis, and while we've seen small increases in the resources dedicated to deal with the problem once it's here, we really haven't seen the massive surge of resources that's required for these kind of numbers.
Europe's migration crisis highlights the peril many people face and the setbacks of moving elsewhere. This year, thousands of migrants who set their eyes on the EU touched down in Belarus, only to find themselves used as political pawns by a country intent on destabilizing the EU.
We are like a ball in the stadium, Belarus and Poland. They kick us.
In France, some migrants risk everything to try and reach the UK. In the pursuit of a better life, dozens of migrants died crossing the English Channel in November in the worst disaster on record.
This disaster underscores how dangerous it is to cross the Channel in this way.
The United Nations says 166 people have died that way since 2014.
I think the question is, how do you create enough control of the flows that are out there?
We must strengthen the immunity of all societies against the virus of hate.
The UN believes that in 2022, nearly 275 million people will require humanitarian assistance and protection. A task too great for any individual nation. A UN agreement in 2018 saw 164 countries sign on to a pact to better address migration. The U.S. wasn't involved at the behest of then-President Donald Trump.
Migration is part of a smart economic policy. It's part of population growth. It's part of learning and innovation, diffusion of ideas. But you start to give it some sort of form so that people feel like there's a plan there, that this is not an army marching north, but rather a set of people who we're welcoming in because they can become part of our society.
That challenge will require countries to work together to find a solution.
We've been frozen in this political debate where you have these two sides who can't find any compromise.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. Any crisis from natural disaster to war could upend best-laid plans at a time when millions of people are already risking everything in search of a better life. Reggie Cecchini, Global News, Washington.